Hi
We're
guys.
back. We're back.
We're back.
Surprise. Surprise. I know you missed us so much.
hmm
It's late June by now. You'll probably be watching this in July if Meli upholds this strange upload schedule that she's been maintaining ever
Okay, I'm
since
sorry. Guys, in my
time. So
defense, not I was in Hawaii, okay? So I wasn't even here.
even if you're mad about her not uploading, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, seriously, what can you do about it?
You can't get to her unless you want to fly from Pakistan, which is
hmm
um
No,
a
no,
long
this
flight.
this episode I promise you will be up in the month of June because
Now
it
I
is
feel like
Pride theme, Pride, whatever.
now I feel like someone from Pakistan will be like, "Holy shit, how did they?" You know what I mean? He'd be
How
creeped
did we
out.
know?
It's just
Oh,
because our one. It's just because our geographical statistics on the YouTube videos. Um.
also
So
mostly male.
hello. Also mostly male,
Let's
but
try and get some
also
females up in this joint, shall we?
yeah, yeah. Where are you guys? Like
Yeah.
we're mostly we've been Shortcuts is a movie about how horrible men are. This movie's a movie about how horrible men are, even in a more extreme way
Even
as well.
most of our movies are kind of about how horrible
Yeah,
men are, so
we're a very feminist podcast, and you're not even showing up.
no. But you
I
know what
mean,
is showing up? This movie news is showing up.
our segment on movie news today. Let's get into it. Before we get into our feature presentation, our movie of the pod, we are going to talk about what happened in the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks,
Mm-hmm. A
movie
lot.
movie news related, and we're gonna try to breeze through it because we have a big, long, extended movie to talk about.
Yeah.
um,
So, do you want to start or should I start?
you start. Just go ahead.
Okay. First piece of news. This is pretty old at this point, but I
Okay.
do want to mention it. So, apparently, the Beatles biopics will reportedly star Harris Dickinson as John Lennon,
John
Paul
Lennon, yeah.
Mescal as Paul McCartney,
Which
Barry
is funny because they're
Keoghan.
both called Paul, so it's gonna be
Yes,
very easy to get into character for
very
him.
easy. Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr, which
Pretty good casting choice.
makes a
I
lot of
like it.
sense, actually.
Yeah,
I see that.
visually, that
Yeah,
is. I don't
visually.
know.
And Charlie Rowe as George Harrison, also visually makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
I think
Um,
Barry Keoghan will be, if this is all true, I think Barry Keoghan will be able to execute it really well because Ringo's a fucking weirdo and Barry's a weirdo. I also think people are hating on Harris Dickinson too much. They say that they don't look alike, but I think Harris has the acting chops to pull
cares?
it off.
Oh, who cares how close they look? I'm sorry.
Dude,
I'm
makeup and
tired of it. I'm
prosthetics.
tired of the biopics and I'm tired of the conversations around them. I'm sorry. I
Me
probably
too.
won't be going to this unless it's some quadrilogy of master filmmaking. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But that's it. I just thought it was interesting because yeah,
Yeah.
interesting casting.
Um Jordan Peele apparently in talks to direct a Marvel film. Um Pretty crazy.
Is that what that
Pretty crazy.
announcement was?
Well, he had two announcements. Well,
Okay.
my hair is crazier than that announcement, I feel. Um, wow. Guys, this is really embarrassing because it's not going down either. This little hump that's formed. Um, so Jordan Peele in talks to direct a Marvel film, which is I don't know how to feel about that, but okay. Everyone needs money once in a while. At least he's not pretentious about it like Quentin Tarantino. Like I need to have a perfect filmography.
Yeah.
Who cares? Direct a Marvel film once in a while. Get that money.
Get your bag.
Um, but his new film, his new original film, is set to premiere on the 23rd of October 2026.
hmm
And the reason it took me a while to read that date is because dates are written differently here, and
Yeah.
that was copied from an Instagram post made by
Yes.
an American account. So okay, yeah,
Well, I'm excited for that. Love Jordan
yeah,
Peele.
but that seems so far away.
It seems so far away, but then before you know it, it'll be here.
2026 is crazy. Today, yeah, just today I was filling it in a forum at work and they wrote 2023 and then I was like, "Oh shit,
Oh,
I'm stuck in
it's
2023."
24.
Yeah. And now
Yeah.
the 2024 is about to end, so
No, it's
fuck.
not. Don't say that.
2025 just seems like some science fiction like far off
It does.
kind of thing. It's crazy.
But speaking of 2026, we have another movie reportedly coming out in 2026, which is the film adaptation of an upcoming Hunger Games book, Sunrise on the Reaping, which is about Haymitch's games.
Okay. I
I don't
don't
know.
remember who.
We got, the
Haymitch.
original three,
Who is Haymitch?
Haymitch, Woody Harrelson's character.
No, the teacher, the
Yeah.
mentor, who
Yeah.
was once in. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You
Personally,
tell me about that because I'm not a Hunger Games guy.
right.
Like I like
Personally,
it, but
I don't know.
not as
I
much as
think it'll be interesting because because he was like the quarter quell winner, so like it'll be cool to kind of see that take place, especially because like I
what
know
the
he doesn't
fuck is she talking?
because there was doubles instead of 24, there
The
was actually
quarter
like
quell.
48.
I totally forgot the quarter quell.
Shut up. But there's I will say there's a really great fan made short film about Haymitch's games on YouTube. I highly recommend you go check it out. For a fan made film,
Link in the
it's
description.
actually maybe. For a fan made film, it's actually really impressive. So go give that one some love if you want to see what that's about. But
Well,
yeah,
we'll move on to the next one before everyone starts bullying Meli for being a nerd.
all right. Okay. All right. I see how it is.
Anyways, let's move from 2026 to 2099. Do you know what I'm talking about, Meli? You catch my drift? Catch my
Okay.
drift?
I think I catch your drift.
I'm sorry, Meli, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It wasn't a funny joke and it was just a bad decision at the time to say it.
Thank you for apologizing.
Please don't kick me out of the pod and make this one on zero. That would be really sad. Um
Maybe I will. You
so
never know.
29 Blade Runner 2099. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a new sequel series starring Hunter Schafer,
Yeah.
which is also starring Michelle Yeoh.
Yes.
Kind of cool. The
I
show
did
will be
hear about that.
coming to Amazon Prime. Exciting stuff. Yeah, just want to point that out. I've liked every Blade Runner adjacent thing as a recent. So
Okay. Okay, guys. So I'm actually going to mention something if I can fucking find it on my phone. Um so we got Criterion announcements and I'm gonna mention it
oh yeah,
because
oh yeah.
your girl was very excited. Let's
She
just
was
say.
very excited. If you guys are
So,
hardcore fans of the pod, you heard our episode where Meli detailed her little meeting with Gregoraki.
yes, I did meet Gregoraki. And I asked him the question that we're all wondering, are your movies coming to the Criterion Collection? And guess what? Now they're fucking here because this month, for the September 2024 titles, we got the announcement of Gregoroki's Teenage Apocalypse trilogy. So totally fucked up, Doom Generation, and Nowhere on a box
Mm-hmm.
set. So excited,
Mm-hmm.
so ready. Oh, I'm gonna buy it the minute it comes out. I'm buying it.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
some other titles we also got. All of Us Strangers with Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. That was
Oh
literally
yeah,
released just now.
cool stuff. Good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. The Long Good
Happiness.
Friday. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Happiness is actually a really
Happiness.
big deal.
Yeah,
And it's
very
funny
big
because
deal.
I don't remember what pod I mentioned life during wartime in. Maybe in.
Mm,
I
I think
mentioned
we
it. I
mentioned
think in.
happiness in Mysterious Skin,
Yeah, but I mentioned life during wartime. I
like the
think in.
song, the
No, the
Talking Heads
movie,
song.
the sequel to Happiness.
Oh,
That's
yes.
on Criterion, but I
Yes.
mentioned that during Full Metal Jacket, I think. Anyways, Happiness, really big movie, really famous among
Mm-hmm.
film cinephiles. Really
Yes.
fucked up movie. I usually when I was younger, um, when I was a young boy, I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos about like disturbing movies and like people
That was one of
detailing
them.
disturbing. And that was one of them. So I know what the movie's about. I've been spoiled, but I'm gonna watch it one day, and it's getting a 4K upgrade, which is pretty nice. Pretty much all of these
Yay!
announcements are 4K, except for Nowhere, or no, Totally Fucked Up, which is only a 2K restoration, not a 4K, which sucks because like might as well make it the whole box set of 4K.
Maybe they
But
couldn't do 4K.
you should maybe
I will say
couldn't.
though, I
Filmed on digital, like a really shitty digital camera. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's kind of hard to do 4K, but like I'm telling you guys the difference between like oh my God, 4K. Like when I watched Nowhere like not on 4K, and then
Yeah.
when you watch it on 4K and like the
Yeah.
colors and the sound, oh
Yes.
my
Yes.
God, guys, it makes all that much of difference.
Yeah.
But then continuing with Criterion, we also got a 4K of
Of Repo Man,
Repo
which
Man.
is an okay film, overrated in my opinion, but have
And then we
fun if
also
you like
got
it.
The Long Good
Which is a
Friday
classic and has
classic.
been on the Criterion collection. I think it's spine. What spine is it?
Um,
26. Spine
is it
26.
26?
Yes, like a
Wow.
British mafia. It seems amazing and 4K upgrade. It's good
Well,
stuff. Bob
I know that I
Hoskins
added
is an
it to
icon.
my
List.
list.
Pretty good, pretty good. I'll just breeze by what else I wrote. Emma Stone will be starring in Nathan Fielder's directorial feature film debut, Checkmate, for A24,
Wait, did I not
which
mention that before?
no,
I
which
thought
she
I
will
mentioned
also
that in like
be
a, I
a producer on,
think I mentioned.
which is pretty cool. I have yet to see the rehearsal and the curse, so I need to get on that.
Yeah, you do.
Our Pat, I don't know how you felt about this. I haven't seen the original film, but our Pat, Robert Pattinson, is producing a remake
Oh my
of
God.
Andrei
Don't.
Zonowski's
Don't.
Possession. Yeah. Um, Robert Pattinson might act on it depending on scheduling.
Guys,
Directed by Parker Finn. How do you feel about this?
such a perfect film does not need a remake. Guys, guys,
And
if
from
you've
the
seen,
director of Smile?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Come
If you've
on.
seen Possession, I'm not gonna spoil it because Yoav hasn't seen it. But if you've seen that movie,
You can
you
spoil it.
can't
I've seen
remake it.
too many clips.
No, you can't remake it. You just can't. It's just one of those movies where how I mean, no.
Yeah, just awful.
What's her name?
Just
Isabel on Johnny. Is that her
yeah,
name?
from Ishtar.
Dude, you
A
can't
Johnny, a
make
Johnny.
that movie without her. You
Yeah,
can't.
awful, awful. On even sadder news, Donald Sutherland passes away at 88 years old. We've covered a movie starring him, Clute. We also mentioned The Hunger
Hmm.
Games. He's a big part of that. He's a
Yeah,
very famous actor, and so is his son.
very sad.
Um, so
Kiefer.
just check out his yeah, check out his filmography. Watch Don't Look Now. Watch Clute. It's good stuff. He was a great actor. He knew how
Yeah.
to choose his projects, and
He
yeah.
was also a huge activist, guys. Gotta love that. Got to
Yes.
love
Do you have
that.
any other notes, or should I do my last one?
If your last one is what I think it is, and I think you should do your last one.
It's the Nosferatu trailer. Looks great. I love it. Really scary. I jumped, and and the title drop was really cool. And it's a perfectly edited trailer as well. And it just
Yeah.
looks so Robert Egger mixed with German expressionism, which is already such an influence for him. But now he's going full force. So You saw it in theaters. How'd you feel then?
I did see it in theaters. And let me tell you, if Yoav felt like that in by watching it on his phone, you should imagine how I felt watching it on a big screen because holy crap, I was peeing my pants. It looks so good. I am
Yep.
so excited.
Yes, Nosferatu coming out when?
I think Christmas.
Okay, so Nosferatu we have to watch. I need to watch Kinds of Kindness.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to catch it at my workplace, hopefully.
Hmm.
Good stuff. I heard Kinds of Kindness is 2.5 hours long. Wow.
Hmm.
Are you set to watch that sometime soon?
When I get back from España,
Yep. All right. Cool. Or watch it in Spain, dubbed in Spanish. That would be funny.
maybe.
Um, next segment.
Guys, we're gonna do what we
Oh yeah.
watched. Come
What
on.
the fuck did we watch in this long hiatus?
Should
We'll
I
go
go
one movie,
first?
one movie. What do you say?
One movie, one movie. Let's do it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'll start. First movie that I watched. I saw the TV Glow. I watched that in
Ooh,
theaters.
ooh, getting
Um,
a lot of hype recently.
yeah. And wow, I don't even know where to begin because it's actually such a deep movie.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, all I can really say is you have to kind of go watch it for yourself and formulate your own opinions on it, but it is definitely going to end up being like a cult classic, I think, like a
Mm-hmm.
very pivotal teenage experience movie, especially amongst kids who um are very repressed within their own um gender, if that makes
Genders. Yeah.
sense.
Um. Also, this whole like aesthetic of like lost media kind of
Mm-hmm.
obsessive media culture, very Gen Z kind of style. It seems great. I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yes.
Um, should I go? Do you think I'll like it?
Yeah, you should watch it. If you can catch it, I think you should.
I'll catch it. Um, I watched Cronenberg's Naked Lunch adaptation
Mm.
with Zev on Zoom. It was
With yourself, you mean?
Zev's. Guys, my name isn't Zev R, it's Yoav. But I don't know why it says this. Don't get me started on this. Anyway, Zev's reactions were kind of more interesting than the movie itself. And the movie itself is really cool. The practical effects, the whole vibe of it, but it goes stale really, really fast. And I can't tell what's going on. Like
Right.
it's not the I don't care about story. I really don't care about story, but it's just a little stale, I think.
Hmm.
Not that it's outdated, it's just a little stale, but there's like a cool jazz musical score and some really creepy, eerie visuals that I definitely won't forget. And the central performance is really good as well. It's very novel like. It's kind of like reading a book, but like with Cronenbergian. Cronenberg just has a big mouth. He just likes to write a lot and like long dialogues that
It's
like
true.
sometimes it's annoying.
That's true.
So I just wasn't in the mood. That was Naked Lunch, yeah.
Okay. Next up, I watched this marks my seventh Gregor Rocky movie. I watched The
Wow.
Living Dead. Or sorry,
And how was
The
that?
Living End, not
How
dead.
many films does he have?
Um, oh my God. Two, three, four, five, six, seven. Like
It says
about
it on.
10, 11.
Okay.
Some of them
Features plus shorts, probably.
Some of them are really hard to find. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna be hunting, guys. I'm hunting. I'm trying to find Splendor. Don't know if I'll be able to find it, but I'm gonna try. Um,
If
Anyways, I
you
watched The
want,
Living End.
okay. If you need help with finding stuff, I have. Now that I work at a theater,
Oh,
there's like ways to get things. So
we'll talk off camera about that.
okay.
But The Living End, holy shit, guys. I fell in love. I fell in love, and I think the reason why I really enjoy this movie so much, not just because it's Gregor Rocky and I love everything that he does, it's
Yeah.
because okay, you have to kind of read my Letterboxd review. That's kind of where like
Yeah.
I sum up
She
all
really
my
went deep
thoughts.
on this one.
I did.
Very cool.
But my favorite part was the fact that it was about like it was about two gay men and it's not like stereotypical and both of the men have AIDS and that's not a spoiler, by the way. It's like the whole premise of the movie. They both have AIDS, and I think like it's so beautiful because like they're not ashamed of who they are, and they're not ashamed that they have AIDS, and they both love each other, and they both are just like, you know what, like we're just gonna live our life and like be who we are. And I think that's why I loved it so much,
That's
because
nice.
so much like a lot of
It
the
sounds
stuff you see,
surprisingly wholesome for a Rocky film.
well, you, you know, he has his own
Moments.
touches, but
Yeah.
so much that you see on like in media these days about AIDS, like they cower and they're like
Yeah.
scared, and I'm just like, no, like, and this was made in the 80s, no, sorry,
Mm.
90s, so like that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy too, like early 90s. So
Yeah.
yes, I gave it 5 stars. I loved it so much. You should go watch it.
Yeah. It's so funny to me. Um, Meli versus I's like favorite directors is just such a
Very
duality.
interesting.
Anyways, even though I don't even know if I have a favorite director. It's kind of hard. Like I always say about Kiarostami, but like recently I've just I don't know things a bit. I watched Fantastic Planet in theaters. Really cool thing. Really cool movie. Um, I went. It was on a date, and I was kind of more interested in what was going on personally than the movie. But Fantastic Planet was
Ooh.
fun in theaters for sure. There were people reacting to it for the first time, which was really funny to hear. Because it's a very insane movie. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Next up, I watched All of Us Strangers, and I thought it was kind of overhyped. I didn't think it was bad,
Oof.
but I thought it was a little overhyped. Honestly, yeah, it was a little underwhelming for me. But I will say Andrew Scott delivered one hell of a performance. Holy shit. He is so good. He's just
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And yes. Great stuff.
Next.
Will I've heard it's heartbreaking. Did it break your heart?
Oh, extremely heartbreaking. Extremely heartbreaking.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right after Fantastic Planet, the day after, I went back to the same theater to watch The American Friend
Mm,
in theaters, and it was very, very nice. I love that movie. Really thrilling, really great. I love it. I love it. I love it.
nice.
Yeah.
Then I watched Beach Rats with Harris Dickinson. That was like his acting debut. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid movie. Very nice to look at aesthetically, I guess. Um, Now this one about a little gay repressed boy. Also, if you're noticing a
Good.
theme, it's because I'm doing like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
queer movies for
Yeah, yeah.
Pride Month. You guys know I do this, whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was pretty good. Standard.
Nice.
Standard movie.
um, speaking of not standard, speaking of standard, but the opposite, um, of that, I watched The Shining for the first time
Finally,
in
Jesus.
for a last day of film class, and it wasn't what I expected. Like I knew all the scenes, but it's the connective tissue
Yeah.
that's what makes it. And I just went on like a deep dive of like theories online, and there's just so much to unpack. I'd love to watch it again. It hurts your brain. It's devastating, and it's about like the evil in man and like the different like generational violence, and like something is so evil. Something about this movie is just so demonic. I fucking loved it. Um Anyways, I just realized I watched two more movies than you, then I'll do a double whammy. Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. My dad forced me to watch this from his childhood, and it was like an 80s sci-fi misogynist flick, and it was pretty fun. But yeah.
I watched Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain on the airplane.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning I was like, okay, interesting, and then not so interesting. I wish it focused more on his career and his explorations and his contributions to society and to what he did because Anthony Bourdain was such a pioneer for, I guess, like just like culture in general. Like
Yeah.
this man brought to light so much about all these different countries and cultures and foods and people that
What did
um
it focus on that wasn't?
it was like talking about like his drug addiction and like his like suicide, and I was like, we don't have to talk about this. Like, I get it like a little bit, obviously, because like especially his drug addiction, that was very like intertwined in like what he did,
Yeah.
especially like
Yeah.
early on in his career. But like they were focusing on it so much, and then they were like making it look bad, and they're like low key criminalizing it, and then it was just not good,
Disappointing. Yeah.
disappointing. Yeah,
Um, that sucks. But Anthony, pretty cool guy. I watched so I watched The Long Goodbye. I'll just do a double whammy on this one too. I watched The Long Goodbye after by myself one morning because I was really feeling like the movie, like the vibe from the movie, and then I just put it on. It just matched my mood so perfectly. Um and so when a movie does that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I was just in the mood, and it really, and The Long Goodbye, I gave it a 5 this time around. Amazing. And then I rewatched it last night with Zev again. And it's just it gets so much better every time. I just love it. I love it. I love it. It's so the Long Goodbye is so good. It's just so good.
I gotta watch
So
that
good.
one.
Sorry.
And
Yes.
then I watched May, which is like a horror movie,
Never
underwhelming.
heard of it.
Just I did not like it at all. I really did not like it. I did not click with it.
What's it
Um,
about?
it's about some like girl that like was very lonely, like when she was little, and then like when she like grows up, like she tries to like connect with people, but it doesn't really work because she's so weird and creepy and like off-putting, and it was just bad. Just don't watch it.
In- Interesting. I watched another Robert Altman, The Player, his big satire on
Mm.
Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is so spunky. Like it's nothing. It's kind of like Shortcuts and kind of like the Long Goodbye and kind of like Macabre and Mrs. Miller, but it's something complete. It's so different, and it's so like it has the overlapping dialogue kind of sense to it, but and the cinematography and like the zooms and stuff. It's Altman-esque, but it's so much more spunky. The screenplay is crazy. It's very twists and turny, and then that end is just the best. The ending is like fucking the ending is just fucking so like it's one of those endings that are just like wow, like
Yeah,
that just ties everything up so beautifully, and it's such a good satire, and it's so relevant. It's just the perfect satire of Hollywood, and it's so scathing, it's so mean. I love it. Yeah.
period.
I'm loving these Altman movies.
Oh, we can tell. We
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Second to last, I watched The Visit with like friends. Just oh God,
Good stuff.
M. Night Shyamalan, dude.
Shummel you.
Just I
I
don't
mean, I
know
like The
how
Sixth Sense, but
I don't know how he directed The Sixth Sense and then went to just direct these box. Well, I wouldn't say they're box office
that's M
bombs.
Night for you, you know?
True.
He has cult classics and classics. That's all he has. I
Yeah.
think old will become like one of the like how we see shitty horror movies from the 80s, people will see old and be like, "Oh, that's a shitty movie from the 20s." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Um,
20s?
but The
Yeah.
Visit, just I have no
Bonkers.
words. I have no words. If you want to watch some creepy grandma grandpa shit, go ahead.
Nice. Nice.
Did
We
you watch
love
anything
old.
else?
Yes, I watched Dog Day Afternoon again in
Oh,
theaters.
I love that movie.
So good, so good. Ooh, so good. So revolutionary and liberal and cool, and like Al Pacino has this like sexiness to him. They can't just you just can't find that anywhere else, you know.
No, you really
And
can't.
it's hot and steamy, not in a sexual way, but like steamy, you know what I mean, like sweaty.
Yeah,
And it just has it's all in one room. It's just so 70s and so important. It just
yeah,
feels like an important film.
very important.
Um, yeah. Did you have one more?
I have one more.
Okay, and then I have one
Guys,
more after.
I watched The Bike Riders in theaters
With Austin Butler
with
and
Austin
Michael
Butler,
Shannon.
Michael Shannon, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, Norman Reedus,
And what'd you think?
Mike Feist. Guys, it
Mike
was
Feist.
it was pretty good. I remember mentioning this movie and how no one was picking it up and how it got delayed months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know what? Very solid movie. Strictly like this is honestly the Bike Riders is a definition of just an extremely solid movie. Um,
Good.
I was entertained. I wasn't bored. I thought there was some pretty cool themes in there. Um, about if you want, I don't know if you want to read my review, but like about honor and family, which was pretty cool, and about
Mm-hmm.
old versus new. Um, also made some connections to Hell's Angels. If you remember our
Give me
Gimme
shelter.
Shelter
Yeah.
episode, lots of connections there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just very solid. I highly recommend
We
it. It's
need more solid
yeah,
movies, not
yeah,
just like, and also mid-budget
yeah.
movies. Very
Like
important that we bring those back. So
not every movie has to either be a masterpiece or like a shit
yeah.
fest. Like solid movies are real and let's bring them back.
The thing is, if it's not a masterpiece or a shit fest, it doesn't make money anymore. You know what
That's
I mean?
true.
That's how the industry is nowadays. So, last thing I watched, well, the last thing I watched was The Long Goodbye, but before that, I watched Old Boy for the first time, same theater again. Um, that's what cinema is made. Like, that's what the medium was made for shit like Old Boy. Like, I feel like if I watched this when I was 14, it would just fucking change my life. Like it would blow my mind, and it still did. It's just like now it's just it's so crazy, it's so wacky and like goofy, but also so serious and like theatrical. And like it's kind of like it's like a story that feels like biblical. Like
Yeah.
I could like reference it like, oh, this is like the classic story of Odesu, you know what I mean? It's like it feels like biblical proportions and like operatic stakes and like it's so cool. Um in the beginning I gave it a 5 because it really made an impression. Um but I think not that I have any nitpicks, it's just the reason it's at a 4.5 because I was thinking about it today and I was like overall, and we'll get to the Handmaiden because
Mm-hmm.
it's from the same director, and I think it's cool that I watched it in the same week because he's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Overall, sometimes plot twists and like crazy plots that are written so well, like story wise and like pacing wise, um, if you take a step back and think about more about meaning and like how actually meaningful this movie is or what takeaways I have, it's hard. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
find it with Old Boy, even though it revolutionizes the revenge genre really
Yes.
well.
Yes.
I think it's so interesting to make a revenge film and make a choice to make it about the person being revenged on as opposed to the person making the revenge, but then it kind of becomes about him as well.
Mm-hmm.
um and
Also,
nothing can beat that last leg of the film. Wow.
no, nothing.
No, not unforgettable. Just crazy.
Just crazy.
I feel like Old Boy, like before I've seen it, because it's taken me a while before I watched it. Everyone that like I talked to Old Boy about, and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen Old Boy yet, and then they're like, wow, like
Yeah.
they're always speechless and they're like, oh, that ending, like that twist,
Did
and
you
I'm
know
just
the
like,
twist before?
so here's the thing. I've seen that still of them hugging in the snow, and I knew that the person that he was hugging. Oh, well, I don't want to spoil it.
Just spoiler
Guys,
alert,
just
spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. the person that he was hugging was his daughter.
Yes.
But then like throughout the film, I didn't make that connection till like much later because I was
Oh,
so
okay.
involved
Okay.
in whatever. And then and then I started thinking about like, well, where's his daughter? Isn't where? How does he even have a daughter? Like, how does his daughter come into play? And then I was like, oh, that would be the perfect revenge if you know what I mean. So that's how I found out. I
Yeah.
found out a little before the twist, but it didn't change anything. Like I loved it. I loved it either way. And I was just floored by that ending and the last leg, and it's just amazing. And the cinematography. Mwah. Anyways,
Well, luckily we're gonna
good
be
segue.
continuing the Park Chan. I how do I say the last name again?
Wook. That's how I've been
Wook.
saying it. I don't know.
Park Chan Wook
Yes.
conversation. All right,
Yes.
guys. So stick around, although this is a very
Stick
long
around.
introduction. Stick
Yes.
around. We'll be right back. All
With
right?
the handmaiden.
The
Bye bye.
Handmaiden.
The hand.
The Handmaiden.
Ah. Um. Is this the um? Have I come to the right place? Is this the castle of the Lady Melina?
Yes, this is the castle of Lady Melina. This is my magic wand. Hello.
I'm here to be your hand, Melina. Handman,
Oh, thank you.
handmaid.
Thank you. I was needing
Um,
a new hand.
yeah, after I cut yours off. Plot
Okay.
twist!
What?
And now we have to think of another plot twist that will come 10 minutes later, because.
Uh,
Sorry.
okay.
So a little bit of context. Me and Melina both watched the extended cut of the film.
So, yeah,
And I.
we didn't
I'm
know it
so
was the
upset.
extended cut.
I knew it was the extended cut halfway through, because I saw that on Letterboxd. It said that it was 2 hours 27 minutes, and the version I was watching was 2 hours 47 minutes. And then I was like, "Oh, is there an extended edition?" Anyways, I had to pause in the middle of the movie to research. Apparently, the extended edition is considered genuinely to be worse in a lot of fronts.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I saw a YouTube video. Your movies suck. YMS is like a YouTuber. I don't know if you
Yes,
know him,
I know who that is.
but I really like his style, and I really like I trust in his opinions. And he made
Yes.
like this whole rant video, like 3 minutes long, about how um he loved The Handmaiden and he's seen it a bunch of times in theaters, and then he wanted to show it to his friend, and he was hyping it up so much, and then he said, "Oh, let's watch the extended edition. It's probably even better." And then his friend was disappointed, and so was he, and he was just talking about that. Like they added too much shit, and like it's not edited as good. And then afterwards, I rewatched like the ending scene on YouTube from the theatrical cut, and like the music is different. Like it's just different. It's
Mm,
just a different thing.
okay.
So I'm sorry if we've disappointed the Handmaiden fans that we watched the extended cut first, because I'm sure the theatrical cut is amazing. Um, and my major thing with this movie, um, I'll probably let you take the helm for this episode, because I'm I didn't I wasn't in love with it per se. Um my main thing with this movie is that it could have been cut down by like a solid 20-25 minutes. The cut
That
I watched,
that was also my qualm with it.
which is funny because that's a theatrical cut. And then I'm like, maybe that's why this is considered what. Well, we'll get to it, but it's considered like a perfect film. And I was like, what am I missing? Like, this is way too drawn out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just lost interest, and it
My
just sucks.
my thing is like what was what did they add? You know what
They
I
just,
mean?
I don't know. I don't
Like
know. I'll have to watch the theatrical.
what in the theatrical version was not or sorry, what in the extended cut was not in the theatrical version?
I
I'm
don't know.
curious.
I don't know. Apparently, it's like adding to like more of the dialogues and like characters and like, which usually is good, but I
Hmm.
don't know.
Well,
In a I don't know.
let's start from the beginning.
Um, Handmaiden, directed by Park Chan Wook. Crazy story we have here this time. actually adapted from a novel about like well, okay, it's the novel is about like ancient England or whatever. This it takes that context away and puts it in a context of Japanese occupied Korea, which is interesting. And you get a lot of themes here of power dynamics that could be read in a colonialist lens, which I thought was very interesting. And I'll have to dig deeper into the history more to understand that, because that's
Yeah.
a really bold, an interesting choice with the power dynamics and stuff. Um, but obviously, it's kind of just about lesbians and the power of homosexuality. Practically, and the evils of man.
Yeah.
And it's great, and it's just a great story. It's just so entertaining.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
What were your thoughts about this one
as a whole,
as a whole? Well, for
yeah.
like
So,
introduction.
okay, there's a lot that I understand why it was done because, like, of the, like, obviously, like, a lot of it is like kind of stereotypical because
I'm sure.
of, okay, to preface, I'm pretty sure I read that a woman was like women were
Well, a
helped him
woman
write
wrote
the
the
script,
novel. A woman wrote the novel. I don't know who helped him
but
write the script.
I read that apparently a woman or two helped Park Chan-wook like adapt
Good.
the adapt it, and like apparently he
Happy to hear.
consulted queer women about, especially about like the sex, I believe. So
That's good.
that's good. And yeah, some of that kind of bothered me just because like it was stereotypical, but then for the purpose of the movie, I understand why. Um, because like the whole thing about her uncle and like, she grew up not really knowing what,
She
like,
meaning the lady.
she meaning like lady, what's her name? Hideko. Um,
I'm just gonna use lady in Handmaiden because I don't
okay.
remember their names.
She being the lady not really knowing what, like, I guess real love and like sensuality is because she grew up with like she grew up in an abusive household,
Awful. Such an awful
just
upbringing. Like
disgusting.
just like the worst.
Dude,
Like it
like
doesn't get worse than that.
seriously, like
Yeah.
you're betrothed to your uncle who is
Oh,
abusive to you and your aunt kills herself, hangs herself. Well,
well,
no,
no, he
well,
killed her.
yeah, he killed her. Yeah, I was gonna say he killed her and then framed that. He makes you read fucking smut to men, and he's been training you to do that, and he's been like drawing you, and oh, it's so gross. It's so gross. Um,
Awful. It's awful.
yeah,
Um, no, I guess a good way to start with this is just talking about the sex scenes because it's a big part of the movie, and there's one central sex scene that's long.
very
Um,
long.
well, in the beginning it's shorter, and then I wonder how it is with the extended cut. But another thing that bothered me is after you get the twist and like we switch perspectives to the lady's perspective in part two. Um, uh, uh, they like start going back to things in part one, and we see things for the second time. In
That
like
might
kind
be
of a
part of the
flashback.
extended cut.
Yeah, and it's just so long. Like I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
rewatch the first half of the movie having this in mind. Like let me just rewatch the movie if I want to,
Yeah,
but don't make
exactly.
me rewatch it during my watch. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Um, but then in that rewatch you get more of the sex scene. Well, I don't know how much they changed in the sex scene between theatrical and extended. I think it was low key pornographic, but um, fuck it.
I liked
It
how they
just
did it in
depends
the
on the audience and how you take it.
Well, see,
Is
that's
what
why I liked how they did it in the first part because it was the perfect amount of it showed the perfect amount where it wasn't too pornographic, but it was just enough where it was like a little mysterious, but still like, you get the vibe. And
Yeah.
then they were showing a lot. And I was like,
Well,
okay, it's giving blue is the warmest color.
well, here's what I can say, um, about the sexy. I think, I mean, in terms of how they're framed, how their bodies are framed, it's very beautifully shot in the
Yes.
framing
Yes.
because their bodies kind of, it looks like they got, I don't know, it's very interestingly choreographed because it looks like they like it's so
Which
sensual
I
and
do
it
want to
slowly
say,
looks like they become like one kind of morphing kind of blob. I don't know how to describe. You know what I'm
oh,
talking
like
about?
one entity. I kind
Yeah,
of
it looked great. I mean,
apparently
it's very
apparently it
symmetrical,
was
very
that was directed by a woman. Like that whole sex scene and everything was like
really.
choreographed and everything by a woman.
That's such a good that's a good thing cuz and you can also tell that it's not like the cinematographers are like focusing on their tits, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like it's not about that. Like it's not sexualizing in a way, but it
Yeah.
is at its core a very sexualized like a very sexual just thing and it's really hard not to make it pornographic on that.
It
I don't know.
is. And I was reading some stuff and some people's reviews on it and what they were thinking, and I guess especially the ending sex scene, like I don't know if that was in the original cut or not. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that was intense.
I don't know
Got
if that
intense.
was, and then that was a little weird to me, that ending one. But then some people were saying that it was like her reclaiming her sexuality by like,
Yeah. It's
you
kind of
know,
like they can finally have
reenacting.
sex and be free and like reenact their love, but in a setting where there's no secrets and like
Yeah.
they're just kind of lovers now. And that's nice, but there's more romantic ways of framing it. I don't know. It's a little
Like,
too grotesque for my liking. I'm sorry.
for example, the teeth shaving scene
Oh yeah, that's like
was so
sensual.
much
So
more
good. I
it's
love that
so much
scene. That
more
was so cool.
impactful when you have something
Yeah.
like that than just showing
Yeah.
up than just showing straight up.
Yeah. And I think there's a there are pros to having fun sex scenes, and you know me, I like sex scenes in movies. I love
Yeah,
I,
we've
but
talked about
I
this.
don't know, there's something very grotesque about it. But it is important to have sex in movies, and like obviously queer sex and like
Yeah.
isn't
See,
represented as much as it should be, and it's important. But
that's
it's not
that's
like
where that's where this can get controversial, because then some people are going to be like, well, you're just saying it's grotesque because it's lesbians, but if it was two straight people, then you wouldn't be saying, you know what I mean?
that's not true though.
Like some
Like,
people like would make that argument where it's
dude,
like,
That, that's not true though, because if I
I'm not
saw a
saying
guy
that.
ran there, there would be. I think it would be even worse if it was a straight couple. You know? I don't know. It's very grotesque. That's bullshit. Don't say that. Maybe we're just too young.
No, I don't
I
think
don't know.
so.
It's just
Because
like okay, that's really
because I
grotesque.
I do think that the first sex scene where it showed just the two of them and not everything was really
Mhm.
impactful, like
Yeah.
very impactful. Um, but then then the extended version of it, and then the ending one made me uncomfortable. I didn't like that at all. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it
be
makes
so
sense.
honest.
I
I did
mean,
not like that one when they like the bells. Are you serious?
there's so many. Yeah, that was interesting. I don't understand that symbology, but okay, because it kind of looked like there were two bells. It kind of looked like balls, like they were sucking balls. You know what I mean?
No, that's
That's how
Yoav.
I read
That's
it. As
that's
like,
not that's
no,
not why.
no, no. Wait, Meli. I was saying that it's still like a male presence is like
Oh,
still interfering,
interesting.
and then you got the intercut. I'm sorry, I'm gonna see two balls and like them sucking on it. That's like,
No,
I'm sorry.
I think that was more just like they were looping them up.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, and then yeah, I forgot that they put it inside them as well later. Um. So where were we? um. So yeah, it is. It does get pretty grotesque, and there's just some like my favorite sex scenes in all of cinema. I think I have two favorite sex scenes, and they're very similar, shot very similarly. One is My Own Private Idaho,
Mm.
the sex scene where where it's like like paintings, like
Yes,
photographs,
yes,
kind of, but
yes.
they're
I knew you were gonna say
suspended in
that.
midair.
Yeah.
Mwah. And then there's a similar thing done in Agnes Varda's Le Bon Hair.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
and I'm just thinking about like romantic kind of how you can film sexuality in a romantic way, or in a meaningful
Well,
way.
the
And
bath scene is a
there
perfect
was
example.
yeah, but there was so much you could do. You have this ending where you have your two characters that can finally be free and finally express their sexuality and recreate what they had earlier, but no bounds and no, there's so much more interesting ways to film the sex scene or choreograph it than I don't know. What they did
Mm-hmm.
just was like wasn't as freeing as it could be.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
Because
agree.
I didn't feel as euphoric as like from the shot behind you. That made me so happy to see. Like they were next to each other and the sun was setting, and it's such a beautiful shot and
It
it's such a
is.
cool frame. And like I was like, wow, now they can finally express their love to each other. Um, and that was really nice. And that was enough for like call me old fashioned, but sometimes you just need a nice like romance scene on a boat instead of like a full on like sex scene where they're sucking metal balls
I
and
agree.
then putting them in. I don't know. That's all I need,
That's
really.
why it's like
Call me a
sometimes,
romantic.
no, because sometimes we've talked about this before. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
necessary, and then sometimes it's really not. And that ending scene to me was not.
And again, we've also talked about the fact that, like, I don't think there needs to be such a giant reason for sex scene. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes sex is just part of the day to day, and
Yeah,
that's like a human behavior. Just like you would film a character making coffee, it's interesting to see them making love.
yeah.
Um, but there's levels and there's different like it depends on the story and it depends on the this, and this one is obviously very sexually charged and it's all about like these sexual dynamics, but how grotesque does it has to have to be to get its point across about
Mm-hmm.
sexuality and what it's trying to say, and how long do those scenes have to be?
Yeah.
um yeah, I don't know. um, but eh, this movie has three parts. It opens on this rainy day where she's going to become the handmaiden. By the way, this framing I chose it because it looks a lot like Kurosawa movies. This is
Mm.
very Asian film influence in general. Obviously, it is an Asian film itself, but like which is interesting that they chose, this rainy frame looks so much like a Kurosawa movie, and it's interesting that it looks so much like an homage because obviously you can't have this like Asian kind of like Japanese style of the buildings as well
Right.
because obviously it's colonized Korea. And the rain falling down, which was Kurosawa, in his rain. You
Mm-hmm.
can't have a shot like that and it not be an homage to Kurosawa. And I think that's so interesting because Kurosawa was a Japanese director, and I think it's a subtle little wink that Chen Wook is making,
It
where
definitely
it's
is.
like,
Yeah.
oh, look how Kurosawa has colonized my movie. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
interesting, interesting.
so I thought it was cool. What do you think of how this it's so fucking, the editing is crazy in this first part. Like it's edited like fucking Oppenheimer.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
I thought the movie, I agree with you because when I was first watching it, I thought the movie like skipped. Like I thought like I missed a bit. So I went back and I was like, no, I didn't miss a bit. Um,
Just edited insanely. I don't
very
know.
insane. And it's all moving so fast that you're kind of like, what's going on?
But you kind of need that, I guess. You kind of need that because it's a lot of exposition. It's a lot. You have to take in a lot.
Yeah.
And they wanted it to be under 3 hours, I guess. But I could watch this if it was 3 hours long. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this editing kind of thing.
No, I'm sorry,
Um,
no.
but like they,
Towards the end,
for
I was
example,
getting really tired.
in this extended cut, they leave so much room for dialogues that I don't give a shit about.
Hmm.
But they could have left room to just make certain shots longer in the beginning, so that I don't get a headache going in. Um, but you get this handmaiden going in, and it's like such a cool story. Again, Park Chan Wook has like this thing of making stories seem biblical and like large scale, and it's like the handmaiden arrives. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And she has her first in the first night. Um, the lady screams um in her seat. Well, she fake
Yes,
screams
she
because later we
screams.
find out that she was faking it to
Yeah.
make it feel like, anyways. And then the handmaiden brings her into her little bed, which is interesting because there's already like power dynamics at play
Hmm.
where the lady sleeps with the handmaiden in the handmaiden's bed in the first night, and then later they see, you know what I mean? It's like this constant push and pull, and we don't really know what everyone's intentions are because and it takes time to present itself to you because there are three different twists kind of
Yes.
that happens in three different. How you feel? Like, did you feel disoriented? What were you thinking?
No, I was definitely shocked.
Yeah.
Like when they were gonna throw her into the loony bin, I was
It's
like,
crazy. It's crazy.
wait, what did I write? I was like, wait, and this is in all caps. I was like, wait, did they frame her or was she actually the lady? No, they definitely framed her. Wait, I can't. What? Because for a second I was like, wait a minute, has she been the lady the whole time? But then I was like, no, she's not the
That'd be
lady.
even that would be a horrible plot twist.
No,
That
no,
would be
that was, and then
Shutter
I was
Shutter
like,
Island style.
yeah, sure. Oh my
That
god.
would have been crazy. But yeah, it's a weird opening. You get weird like things like the handmaiden's like trying on the lady's stuff, and like there's so many weird items. Like she keeps the ropes and the chains that the little whip balls that they use that her uncle used to
Yeah,
whip her
the
with in her room, and it's like, what is that? Are those some kind of ancient anal beads
That's what
or
I thought for
something?
a second. I was like, are
That's
those
what you
anal
thought too,
beads?
right?
Yes. I was like, there's
Because I knew,
no
but
way.
and then you meet the Count. The Count is such a goofy, cartoonish character.
Ugh,
Like his
he's
his
so.
makeup, his makeup is like so cartoonish, in my opinion. I don't know. He kind of felt like a
Wait, the
animated character.
count, the
His
count.
uncle.
No, the count
Oh
is not
no,
the uncle.
sorry. Her uncle. I'm talking about the uncle
Her uncle, there. I was gonna say his makeup was not cartoonish. Yes, the uncle is very
with
cartoonish.
the eyebrows. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Some of these movies are so unserious, and it's the same thing with Old Boy, where there's like so many goofy kind of
yeah.
characters, and you take it so seriously. Um,
I actually, so I do want to say because this is my
yeah,
third Park Chan-wook
this is also
movie.
my third,
Yeah, and
but
I'm
we've
gonna.
seen, yeah,
We both have seen Old Boy now. We both have seen Handmaiden, but you watched Decision to
Decision to
Leave, and I
Leave.
watched
Yeah,
Stoker, which is an
yeah,
English movie,
yeah. His first
English
English language.
language movie. So the one very, very, very consistent thing, consistent and good thing throughout all of his movies that I've noticed that I've watched so far is that A, his production design is always fucking fantastic.
Spectacular, and cinematography, and the cameras
Yeah.
like swooping around rooms. Yeah.
But even better than any of that, even, and I always, always, always pick up on this, always, not the music, but his sound design.
Yeah, the sound is
The
so intense,
sound design in
intimate.
all of
Yeah.
his movies is so, it's
And Old
right in
Boy.
your
Now that I'm
ears.
thinking about it, yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
it's
good.
always there. It's always so crisp.
Yeah.
And you can hear everything so clearly, like in this movie, like the rustling of the trees, the rain, the chewing, the
I wish I could
birds,
make my movies sound like that. You know what I mean?
right?
Like it's so intricate. And the sound design here is so intimate. Like you can hear
Mm-hmm.
every footstep and every kind of movement, and
Yeah.
like when it gets sexual and steamy, it like the sound is
You can hear
crazy.
everything.
Yeah, you can hear everything.
But that's one thing that I really love about his movies, just his sound. And then obviously,
Yeah,
then when you integrate the music and oh,
yeah. Um,
Gorge.
Oh, the music here is spectacular, by the way, the musical score. And we haven't even talked, obviously the cinematography,
Yeah.
everything's amazing.
I mean,
All
just
the
this scene
intro
alone. Come on. Come on.
There's not one frame that's boring. It's all framed in an interesting way. And there's always camera movements, which is so nice because like the movement of the story is ever dynamic and the cinematography matches that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um and you don't understand lady in the beginning, like she's disappearing to read to her uncle, and then there's a part where she comes back and she pukes, and she was like, it was so boring I puked, and I was like, very relatable.
Very
Sometimes I feel like
relatable.
puking out of how boring some shit is. um but yeah, the handmaiden to the lady, you are my baby, miss. I wrote that down. I don't know when she said
Oh,
that line, but she called her your baby, her baby.
yeah.
I think that was before this bathtub scene. How about that bathtub scene?
That
All right.
bathtub scene, man.
That's my favorite scene.
Ooh, that
I
was
think.
good.
I love that scene.
That
Yeah.
was freaking good. I was like,
That was
okay.
so that was so sexy.
So
Like
intimate, so
so
beautiful.
romantic. Yeah. Yeah, very yeah. That's like erotic filmmaking right there. That works really well on a dramatic and an erotic level.
Yeah.
Um and then Count Fujiwara is introduced, and there's a mirror shot in the beginning where he
Mm-hmm.
comes in. There's a mirror shot of the handmaiden that looks just like the mirror shot from the film The Servant. Now, do you remember The Servant by Joseph Lowsey?
Okay,
The
yes.
film.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
we both haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailer a bunch of
Yeah.
times. And there's a shot of the servant looking in the mirror, and that
Mm-hmm.
movie's about a guy that comes in and has a semi-homosexual
Yes, you're
relationship
right. You're
with this
right.
rich family, and
Yes.
that heavily influenced Parasite, which is another South Korean film that matches this one kind of tonally in many ways.
Oh shit,
Um,
you're
and I
right.
just thought it was interesting that mirror shot was really the servant. I couldn't find it on the movie stills, but check it out.
Well,
The scene where Count Fujiwara comes in,
yes,
and you see
I
her
know
looking in the
exactly
mirror,
what
and it
scene you're talking about.
yeah. Um. So yeah, the servant.
Well, I did want to say lots and lots and lots of mirror shots in this. Mirror, where did I write? What did I write? Mirrors being
Mirror
used
by
as
Andrei
device
Tarkovsky.
for yearning. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love the use of mirrors. Mirrors are just such a like a malleable thing in
Yeah.
film. Like a character in a mirror could mean so many things. Like for example, you can have something like The Birdcage. That movie, like half of it
Mm,
is shots with like mirrors, but it's all about like identity versus, but it's kind of played for laughs as well.
yeah.
And or you can have something like this where the mirrors are very intense, like devices for yearning, like you said.
Very
um
intense.
and it's just such a dynamic and dramatic story. A man is in the beginning, you think it's about a man who makes a scheme with the daughter of a thieving family, where he goes to fall in love with a rich niece of the same old, you know family, and she goes and becomes her handmaiden, but then she falls in love with her, and now it's a whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's a little Parasite-esque, because then
Mm-hmm.
it's like this whole thing, but then she actually falls in love with her, and we don't know if she loves her back, because later we find out that that the lady and the guy were and the count were scheming it all along, but then she actually fell in love, and then the real heroes get revealed very slowly. But um it's just such a it I love it. It's a very
So,
classic, like twisty movie. Yeah.
yes. The first, so okay, the first time when they revealed the twist of Count working with the handmaiden, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I was like, okay, like interesting. I wonder how this is gonna go. Like, you know,
Because that was the
maybe,
first twist.
yeah. And so I was like, okay. I was like, I dig this. I was like, I ride with this, you
Yeah,
know?
I fucked with it too.
And then
Second time it was less
the second twist, I
exciting.
was like, what the actual
Well,
fuck
it
is
was
going on right
exciting, but
now?
then I was like, but then it was exciting, but then I was like, I might have preferred a story. Anyways, whatever.
Mm,
I think I
but you were saying
maybe might have
earlier,
preferred the infiltration kind of story, but I don't know. It depends. Depends what mood I'm in. But
yeah.
yeah.
I guess
Um.
it makes sense with the whole uncle plot line and wanting to escape her uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even so, I don't know. And then what was even the third plot twist considered where the girls were working
The
together?
third would that they kind of revealed to each other that the lady tried to kill herself like her
Right.
aunt, and then they revealed to each other, and they were working against the count by the end.
Yes.
Um. Anyways, there's a scene where the count eats the peach before he says it's almost ripe, and I was like, that was the grossest peach
I
eating I've ever seen. And there's some gross peach scenes in cinema.
Oh
That
yeah.
was the grossest
That was
peach
for
scene
sure
I've
the
ever.
grossest one.
Um.
Like the way it just exploded, I was like, what the fuck? That is not a ripe peach. That's an overripe peach, sir.
But the absolute betrayal at that scene where the handmaiden go where they admit the handmaiden to the asylum, it's crazy.
That was
And it's just like a
insane.
sexually confusing play of power and greed.
Yeah.
Um and then you start seeing a montage of the lady's childhood, and it's like, oh shit, this is dark. And like all the gross kind of well, there's that scene where she reads the book, that
Ew,
first scene where
ew.
we yeah, it's tough. So it's
Ew.
really tough to watch. It's
Yeah.
very tough to watch.
And the guys are just like sitting there and they're like fanning.
I don't like it. I
And
don't
then,
like it. It's
okay, I'm sorry. We find out this is like a total jump, but that octopus was real.
hmm so right.
Also, like the basement being like a whole Frankenstein basement thing and like a
I don't like
torture
it.
chamber. Like,
Well, the
what?
basement technically was used for binding books. Like all those tools were as book binding tools. But
Yes, but it was also a torture chamber and a place to store
yeah,
vaginas and jars. I saw that. I clocked
what?
that. Yeah.
What?
There was like a shot where it was like panning over like the shelves and it was like showing everything in jars and there was a vagina in a jar.
Maybe it was like an animal vagina.
It looked human to me. It looked human to me. It could be
Oh
animal.
God. um. Ew. What the fuck? How does that? I'm trying to visualize. Okay, interesting. Um, that's weird. The uncle is weird. I don't like him. It's very kinky.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, but then you have to rewatch the whole first half through the lady's perspective, and I'm like, I can just rewatch the movie.
Yeah,
I
right?
don't need it. I don't, that's just
Right?
the
Like we
extended
really
cut.
did not need to see all that.
But it's very fun, and it's like interesting because through all the manipulations and the trickery, the only thing that lasts is the only truthful thing is the love that the lady and the maid found in each other.
Hmm.
um but even in their integral love scene, the lady lies to the handmaiden, acting like she is more sexually naive than she is, and being
Yeah.
like, what does a man even do with a woman? But she
Yeah.
knows.
Of course
She's
she
known
knows.
ever
Yeah.
since she was 5, in graphic detail. She knows. Yeah, the sex
Um,
scene is. Yeah, we talked about it.
yeah. I do want
Yeah.
to say the scene where he was getting like his fingers chopped off and shit was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, this is kind of smart because he was smoking his poison cigarettes."
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, sir." And then the uncle
Okay.
finally caught on because he was like, "Oh, there's no windows in here, right?" And I was like, "Oh, I see what he's gonna do." And then he was
Hmm.
smoking those poison cigarettes, and then the uncle was like, "Oh, oh, oh." And then the last line of the film, which is like, "At least I died with my cock intact," whatever the fuck he said.
Which is so
It was
I
funny. I
guess
was I was laughing.
stereotypical. It's pretty funny. It's kind of like oh, men lose, lesbians win. Cool. Um,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about it? You know what I mean? Like, we get that
Um,
men suck, and that lesbians are just a cooler denomination, but what do you have to say? What do you have to say about it? And I had trouble finding that, which is the bottom line, that doesn't exist. I don't know. that I
You know
couldn't
what?
find. Not that it doesn't exist.
I have to agree with you because, after watching so many queer narratives
This
and
month and
then,
last year.
yeah, and watching this and just, I don't know, I'm just like, it was underwhelming. You have all these people hyping up this movie. And now that I think about it, I'm like, all the people hyping up this movie to me are people that aren't really queer.
Yeah. I don't
Like,
know.
I have not seen, like, I've seen tons of videos of like lesbians, whatever, like recommending like lesbian movies, gay movies, and I don't see The Handmaiden being in
Yeah.
those lists.
Yeah.
And I think now I see why. And I think a big red flag is I forgot who it was, like a film Instagram. I don't know if it was Criterion or
Mm,
one of them was posted like, oh, like queer movies to watch for Pride. And I was like going through it, and like some of it, I was like, okay, these are good movies. These are cool.
yeah.
And then, it within that same list, there was The Handmaiden, but also Blue is the Warmest Color. And then I think after watching The Handmaiden, I kind of
Oops.
am piecing things together.
Yeah.
And I
Not
think
that
I
I think
just
that this movie is very sexist or like
no, it's
um
not. It's not.
did I don't know. It's not I don't find it offensive, but
No.
obviously I'm not a lesbian, so I don't know.
I just
But
think that there are so many there were a lot of really nice moments,
yeah.
but I think a lot of those nice moments are overshadowed by, like you were saying, the plot twists
Mm,
and other aspects of the film where I kind of wish the central point was more about the two women getting together
yeah.
as opposed to like there
Which
being
it
plot
is, but
twists.
that's only later. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like there's a different way, and maybe again, maybe just because we watched the extended cut,
maybe,
you
maybe.
know what I mean? I don't know. But then again, there is a little part of me that's like so swept up by this ending of
I
them like
know.
running away and like the guys staying behind to torture each other and like cutting off each other's fingers. And it's just so fun. Some of this plot like got lost on, I don't know, something went over my head about the whole poison situation. There's like a
Hmm.
poison aspect to this. I didn't fully get
Yeah.
that.
Well, she
I
poisoned
needed
him to
She poisoned
escape
him
him.
to escape. Ooh, oh, and that scene where he describes their first like the night that they got married, and he's like, "Oh, we had like
Yeah.
beautiful sex. I can't even talk about it." But then
Yeah.
what she actually did was masturbated and then cut her finger a little, so it looks like there was blood. Which I thought was a cool. I don't know, that it was interesting. There was like kooky music over it. I don't know if you
There
noticed, but it
was.
was like,
No, there definitely,
it's
yeah.
like back at the farm, the guys are killing each other. You know what I mean? It's it was kind of funny.
You know
And
what?
it's very easy to like get swept up in their whole romance kind of.
I think
I
now that I'm
suppose.
thinking about it, um, I think which okay. No, I'm gonna say it because I don't really give a fuck. I think for there being, like lesbians, whatever, I think the whole thing with the count, like I think I said it overshadows, but like it overshadowed that too much to the point where it's like, okay, we have too much man. And I
Maybe.
think that's the problem because I think it would have been a lot simpler if it was maybe just the uncle
Yeah, not
and if not
two
two.
men manipulating.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then
Because if it was the
you kind of
uncle,
lose the whole plot of the film that way. You know what I mean?
well, no,
So
no, I'm not
it's
saying that the count shouldn't have been
yeah,
there. I'm just
yeah,
saying maybe it should have been a little bit not as centered around him.
yeah.
Because it was. I mean,
Sometimes we just need one villain that's just been horrible to the lady her whole life and is
mhm,
just a freak that
yeah.
needs to be gotten rid of. Um, that scene where where the handmaiden destroys the porn books was really
Oh
nice.
my God. That
That
was
was
great.
nice,
That was awesome.
satisfying. But then there were moments where like a book falls on the floor and then you see what's in that, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, they really production design went off and like really made this in graphic detail, like these
Yeah.
books with their descriptions itself. Another thing I liked, there was like a part in the part where she was reading the book, the central scene with the dummy later.
Oh.
It like cut to signs that were on the wall, and I didn't write down what the sign said, but it was like, um sex as a garment. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about? I
Yes.
like those signs. Those were like pretty cool.
I bet you want those in your room.
No, no, I'm just saying like
I'm kidding.
thematically they're interesting.
No, I know, I know.
Yeah, I want them like above my bed. Just so
Mm-hmm.
like everyone that comes there just knows
They will
like
know.
my thoughts on like sex and like all that. Um but it was cool to see them cooperate. And then, so both men kill. The count kills both of them. Suicide, murder, and now they're having sex in China. Nice,
Yes. Woo!
nice. That's my Borat impression right there.
Do
Hey,
you
another
like?
disappointing thing that happened this week was the David Lynch project was an album and not a movie. Anyways, hey, but do you watch the music video? Looked pretty. It was pretty cool.
I didn't
Directed
watch
by
it.
David Lynch. That you could definitely tell it's directed by David Lynch. Anyways,
I've been so
um,
caught up with other TV.
stuff.
Anyways, any final thoughts, Yoav? Or should we get to our rating?
No, no final thoughts. I want to watch the theatrical edition. Get back to me, and me and Meli might do another podcast, and it's
We'll
gonna
do
be
part 2.
30. It's gonna be 20 minutes less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the theatrical edition. Anyways, I think there's more to talk about, but also I'm good at leaving it at this, where it's like,
Me too.
it's a great film, lots of twists, cool romance, very steamy scenes, but maybe it's not what it's hyped up to be when it comes to meaning,
Yeah.
um,
And you
and
know
like you
what? That's
look at
okay.
that's fun,
It's
that's
okay.
fun, that's fun, because it's a great time. Don't watch it with your mom. I'm glad I didn't. I was gonna watch it with her because she really
No.
liked Parasite, and I was like, another
Good thing
Korean
you
thriller.
didn't.
I didn't know it was this much. I didn't know it was this much. Um, but yeah, yeah. My rating is it's somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. I'm gonna give it 3.75.
Okay.
So so 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
7.5, yeah. 7.5 on Letterboxd. It will probably be a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I need a I the thing is I want to rewatch it theatrical version. Like it's good enough for me to go back and like watch this other version. So
Yeah.
yeah. Three and a
I'm
half. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay. Makes
Um,
sense. I also get why people like it. Like it's really
yeah,
easy to yeah,
I also
to
get it.
like
I
it.
just think that like the people who will watch this and be like, "Yes, best lesbian movie ever," and then just move on, I'm like, "No. You need to sit back down in your chair, put your seatbelt back on, and we're gonna take you back because yeah, this is good, but if you consider this the best lesbian movie you've ever seen, you
Well,
need to
that's what
rethink
the
your
one
life
one one on one
choices."
ratio pod is about. We're just trying to add some valuable commentary to this
It's
thing
true.
and some new perspective. And you know, this is the second sapphic film we've reviewed. We talked about um Cheryl Dunye's The Watermelon Woman, for
Yes.
example. Um and you can definitely tell the difference when it's full on made by a lesbian and
Yeah.
like the intricacies of that movie versus how the intricacies of that movie and how it presents the sapphic kind of life
Yeah, life.
versus how lesbianism is shown in a movie like this. So I just
Now,
think it's interesting.
and obviously this is a much more theatrical.
Yeah.
ordeal. So you
Yeah.
can't compare Watermelon Women to this movie because it's so
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, there's
But
nothing to compare. I'm just saying it's
yeah,
just you can tell when it's
right.
like the difference between Gregor Rocky
Steven Spielberg.
and Steven Spielberg.
I don't know.
Which has he ever made a game?
I don't know. I just said a big
What's a gay
director.
movie that's like what's like a gay movie that's like um
Low key, West Side Story is a little gay, but that's not him,
no, but like
obviously.
anyways.
But I just want
Or
to say my final closing
the
thought
imitation
is
game. I don't know. Sorry.
what? Oh, no, it's like the Danish girl.
Exactly. It's like the
Yeah.
Danish girl
Yeah.
and what's like a good transgender by transgender
Oh, like fucking
creators.
like something like anything John Waters.
Yeah. Even though it's not okay.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's just the first thing
Exactly.
that came to mind.
Yeah.
Or like anything like Paris is Burning.
Yeah. Wow, what a sad movie. I love Paris is Burning.
But
Portrait
final
it's Portrait
thoughts.
of a Lady on Fire against the Handmaiden.
Oh,
That's a good
yes.
comparison.
Yes,
You know what I
perfect.
mean? That's a good
Perfect.
comparison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Final closing thoughts
Let's go.
is if this is the only lesbian, queer, sapphic movie you've seen, I think you need to branch out a little bit and watch
Maybe.
more. If you want another
The
mainstream, go watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire. If you don't want
mainstream.
super mainstream and you want to diversify a little bit, I have a list on Letterboxd. Or not a
Maybe
list.
Bound, Wachowskis.
Okay, Bound is I have my qualms with that movie
Okay.
too. But
The only
yes,
reason we're being picky, guys, is because there's just not a lot out there. There's not a lot of sapphic cinema out there,
yeah.
and it's hard to find. And I wish there was more, and we could just like disregard issues like this. But we need to be picky
I think
because there's not a lot.
for the general mainstream audience, Portrait of a Lady on Fire does it best. So recommend
And I could
watching that.
definitely just see like some guy watching this and just
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like getting off to anyways. And when you think about it that way, it's like that's
It
like
makes
you
you feel
couldn't
gross.
a guy couldn't watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire and get off, even though
No, no.
there's sex in that, you know what I mean? It's unless he wants to cry wank. When you think about
Ew, cry wink is an insane thing to say, you
No,
freak.
it's the name of a band. That's why it's like in the modern lingo.
Okay.
Cry
Well,
wank. I would say unless he wants to um make liquid out of two different places at once. You know what I mean?
I think just go watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Go watch Carol.
What are we even
Um,
talking about, dude? What am I? I'm
I don't
sorry.
even know what you're talking about. If you want something for the
Dude.
straighties, go watch Imagine Me and You. I'm looking at my list right now. Anyways, yeah, that's it.
Yay. Okay. That was the Handmaiden. Good pick, Meli. I liked
Thanks.
talking about it with you.
I'm talking about it with you too, buddy.
Shall we go to my pick? My
Yeah.
pick. Okay. Okay, Meli.
Hold on,
Now,
let me write down this timestamp. Okay,
go
go.
ahead. So, I was just thinking, what is. Well, okay. 1 second. I'm debating between two options in my head, and I
Oh,
just chose one. Okay. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Um, you know, I was thinking two women are leads in this movie. Let's do another two women. I was gonna
yay.
do like another like a summary pick, but I trust you to do that. I feel like I could
Okay.
you know this is kind of like a warm pick, but it's more like yellow than it is summery.
Okay.
Um Now I've seen this, you haven't.
Okay.
So it's one of those.
All right. Oh boy, when it's one of
um
those, I know it's about to get crazy.
it's Okay, there's a world where you would find this the most amazing thing you've ever seen, and there's a world where I can see you not liking it as well.
Okay.
But the important thing is talking about it with me. Um, let me pull out the letterbox so I have some deets that I can like tease with. Um, so this movie is in Spanish. Um, so that's good stuff. It's one of Guillermo del Toro's favorite movies. Um,
Okay. What year is it from?
it is from 1973.
Oh.
So in the so it's set in the aftermath of the of the Civil War, Spanish Civil War. Instead of two women, this movie's about two girls. Um, it's one of my top four favorites on Letterboxd, and it has been for a while. Um, it's directed by Victor Aris. Do you know what movie I'm talking
Mm.
about?
I don't know. Do
No.
I?
um, I I'll just it's the spirit of the beehive. That's my pick for this week. Did you know?
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
Was I
No.
supposed to know?
Um.
To be fair, I have not looked at your top four in a while.
So yeah, that's my pick. You excited?
The spirit of the beehive. Oh,
I
okay.
recommend. I just recommend looking at the poster of this movie and then letting
Yes.
everything and then not like reading about the synopsis, just letting it kind of get to you.
You
It's
have talked
beautiful.
about this before.
Yes, it's beautiful and it's haunting and it's
Mm-hmm.
about what I'll say is it's about childhood and memory and kind of a response to media when
Okay.
we're kids. I'll leave it at that. I
Fuck
think you
yeah.
might love this and you might hate it because it some people find it awful and some people find it brilliant.
All right. Well, I'm
And
I'm fucking ready.
it's very Yoav, I think.
Oh, I
It's
know.
very it's my taste.
Yeah.
Um kind of one that you could kind of it's very slow. But so just get ready, but it's a short one. It's on YouTube as well. Spirit of the Beehive. Looking forward to talking about this movie with someone because it's I need to have a conversation about it.
All
Yeah,
right.
Spirit of the
Let's
Beehive.
let's do it.
It's
Spirit of the
fun. Yeah,
beehive.
let's go.
Thanks guys for
Um,
watching.
thank you guys so much for watching. Watch Spirit of the Beehive, watch The Handmaiden. Let us know what you think, how
Yeah.
upset you are about us watching the extended edition, not the normal one. How disappointed you are that we didn't like it as much as we should have.
Sorry guys, but you know what? That's why
Sorry.
opinions are a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and if you're one of our viewers from Saudi Arabia or from Syria, on that matter, I'm sorry that you
You can't
I'm
watch the
sorry that you
movie.
live in sorry that you live in Syria right now. It's been tough, man. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry that you probably don't have access to the movie.
And in Saudi Arabia, you know, maybe don't watch the movie because I don't want you to get killed.
Okay. Yeah. Um
But if you're in
thank you
America,
guys
you
so
have no excuses.
yeah, you must. Anyways,
No kidding.
form your own
All right.
opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great night.
And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Peace
Bye.
out.